Hi, Mittah. Thank you so much for meeting with me. I appreciate it. We're quite excited about this new series, Building Profitable Businesses and Sustainable Organizations. And last week, we had Mr. Mbata, who had a whole lot of things to say. But
Yes.
what really stood out from his presentation was around finance, Mita. And I
Mm,
know that you work with financial literacy, you help people understand finances. So I'm gonna just take time and reflect with you on some of the things that Mr. Mbata said, and I'm gonna allow you to expand on it based on obviously your expertise. So maybe
okay.
to kick off our conversation, please introduce yourself and introduce yourself to the members of the community. I mean, you are one of the members of the community, but we don't get to know each other. So let us know what I think, what is important for us to know about you.
Okay. Thank you so much, Mabongi, for also inviting me. It really means a lot, and I'm happy to be in this platform and share my knowledge and my expertise with the community. I was in the session where Mr. Mbata was talking. First of all, let me introduce myself before I forget. So
Yeah,
I am Mittah Kokong from New Ground Financial Literacy. It's a company that focuses on financial education. So I am a financial literacy educator. I'm also a money coach. So we focus on financial literacy education for young people. We do also do it for adults, but our main focus and our target area is young people because we feel, Kasitu, they say ikojwa esalimezi. So it means if we teach
yeah,
them at a young age, then they will grow up with the principles. Especially in this day and age where we actually live in a community where everyone is all about business, where people feel there aren't many jobs and they need to go out there and make something of themselves, especially young people. And there's now different ways of making money. But financial literacy becomes such an important topic and a focus area for our young people because I could be a millionaire today and tomorrow I could have nothing. So that
yeah,
is where programs like I Blew It end up showing up on television. So that is where I am, and that is my passion. I believe that through financial knowledge or financial literacy education, we can break limitation and actually start creating wealth. I think
yeah,
which is where our focus should be. So
yeah,
Datembata spoke quite lengthy about business, but also the finance part of it, which I think is a huge a chunk of what business is about. First of all, people go into business because they want to make money. Some do it for the sake of having something to eat, but some have got a bigger dream. But there are factors that need to be taken into consideration. There a certain kind of knowledge that a person has to have before they can even begin to have or start a business. One of the points that he made, which is, I think it's what mostly people talk about, is a business should always try to be a solution, especially in a community that it exists. And that means for one to be able to come up with that solution, they need to be involved in that community. They need to identify that problem and then come up with a solution. So it's good that we all want to make money, but it should not be the only thing that you start a business for. Money is important. We all want it, but what will keep you going on when the money is gone, when the money does not come? What will wake you up in the morning and you go for the grind either way? And that should be the purpose you started the business. So that is quite, it was my takeaway actually from also Mr. Mbata's a session as well last week. So just to start talking, I don't know if you want to ask me the question or maybe let's do that. Yes.
you know what? My thumb was like, please go on, reflect as much as you want. I want to hear it because I love what you've just touched on, especially with how we want to position ourselves as leaders. Everything we do has to be purposeful and full of meaning. And it can't
True.
just be about money as much as money
Mm,
becomes the solution for everything that we're doing. but
True.
it can't be all about money. And I love how he
Mm.
brought Babumbata brought his capitalism mindset in balance with his social responsibility, where he
Mm.
is seeking to make a profitable business, but also
True.
balancing that and making it be informed by his social responsibility, whether
True.
it's from giving back through coaching, through career guidance, through the many other things that he does with his wife. So I love what you're saying. So please move on.
Okay. So again, from what we learned from him is that there are strategies that we have to put in place in order to make our businesses function. And yes, our focus is on business and entrepreneurship, but we also have to understand that as an entrepreneur, I personally need to possess certain financial literacy skills and knowledge in order to make sure that my business also runs well. For example, we have a lot of accountants. They work with money. We expect that for the fact that he knows how to balance a balance sheet, whatever sheet or bank accounts, then he should have knowledge and understanding of how money works. But unfortunately, some of them are broke, some of them are bankrupt, even though these people are actual accountants, they work with money. So financial literacy as a concept is important for an entrepreneur, for someone who says, I want to go into business, because there's concepts like savings and credit and debt management that don't only apply to a person's personal life, but also applies to business. So if I can understand it for myself personally, then I can also be able to understand it for my business. If I can understand that for a certain kind of credit, I basically need to treat it this way, then it also applies with my business. For example, it is not a good idea to buy a car using a personal loan, because a personal loan in terms of interest is expensive, but it might be better if I use a car finance because the interest then is cheaper. And then someone might come back and argue and say, but then why not use a personal loan? Because then if I can't pay the personal loan, they can't repossess my car because then it's not attached to the loan, right? So as a person, also as an entrepreneur, you are able to weigh what is good for your business, because what is good for a service business might not be good for a product business whereby we exchange, right? So it's very much important to be financially literate when you're an entrepreneur, because maybe in your business you are using machinery and you need to borrow to buy this machinery. You need to know the type of contract that you're getting into. You need to know the and understand the terms and conditions. If it is a loan that I took out, this is the interest that they charge me. What are the factors that affect the credit that I'm getting, even though it's for my business? So those are other things that you need to take into consideration, even if you apply for a loan for your business. And also, how do I treat in the personal finance space, we call it a credit report. I believe businesses also have a credit report. So how do I treat my business in a way that will cause my business credit report to be credit worthy, so that when the time of expansion comes, then I am able to basically afford credit or be provided funding whatsoever. And we also need to get to a space of understanding, as much as it is with personal finances. I need to keep a budget, I need to track my expenses. It applies also with your business. And I'm not belittling small businesses whereby they, sell and then eat, spend the money. That is where they are at the moment. But if your vision is to grow your business to become bigger, you need to get used to the idea of actually tracking your spending, and that means recording. So you need to record every expenditure. Your cash flow has to be recorded. Your ins and outs have to be recorded. And also, cash flow speaks to how much money do I have now up until the time I receive money from my clients, because some invoices might be late and I need to pay salaries, I need to pay water and lights, I need to pay this and that. Do I have enough money to do that up until I can get invoices paid by my clients? So that on its own means I need to be tracking, means I need to be alert and sound about my financial decisions in the businesses that, or in the business that I am running. And you need to be futuristic in your planning.
Yeah.
You need to be able to identify risks long before they actually happen, which is where risk management actually comes in. When you're alone, it can be quite difficult. But I guess it also goes with the growth of the business. The more the business grows, the more you will need people to come in. And you can use tools like software that is available to help you track your spending. You don't have to do it by hand. You can use apps that can assist you. Even banking right now, it's so advanced that if you've got a business bank account, you can be able to take your spending, your cash flows, your inflows and outflows in your bank account, and also be able to determine for the future how much can you grow as a business as well. Which also brings me to another part of separating uh, your personal finances to your business finances. This is very important because I mentioned earlier on that the business's credit worthiness is very important, especially if you're looking at future growth. So as much as if I'm an individual and I'm applying for a personal loan, they look at my ability to get credit. Do I qualify? Is my credit score good? Am I a good payer? And all of that, it counts personally. So it does as well with your business. So you don't want to find yourself transacting from your business bank account, because then it's going to look like you're saying you're a serious businessman or woman, but now you're running your personal affairs in your business bank account, and it's sort of make your business loses weight. You lose creditability if your invoices, when you send them out, and the banking details on there are your personal banking details, you lose creditability with good and important clients. And when people look at that, it really does not look good. And sorry, do you have a question?
I remembered something Ubabumbata said that really challenged me. I think in one of the businesses I had started before,
Mm,
I had put in money. And when we were doing our bookkeeping, when you are running a hospitality business, it's quite tricky.
yeah.
When
Yes.
you do your financials, it's not like you are just costing a service and that's it. With a
Yes.
hospitality business, especially with catering, you don't only just calculate muffins, you calculate the flour of the muffins, the milk, and
Asia, so it's
so it's
tricky.
quite tricky. And I remember the lady that did my bookkeeping. And I was just looking for financials that were not being accounted for, and she wasn't able to
Mm,
stipulate where they are because we were failing to keep track of the money that I had put into the business. So this
mm.
idea of thinking, oh, because it's my business, whatever I put in, I'm giving it away to the business. I love
To the
what he
business.
said, that actually
Yeah.
that needs to be recorded as a loan. We only
Yes.
solved that matter few months down the line, realizing, oh, this money that is giving us these discrepancies, it was my
Yeah.
seed money.
Investment.
And I had to
You see,
remember
so
how much was it.
mm-hmm. So
Those bits
that
and pieces that I
also,
never recorded, the
yeah,
deposit that I never recorded because I thought, it's my business anyway. And I
it's
had to
my
calculate.
money
It was very
anyway.
tricky. So I love what you're saying about being able to separate your finances. Because
Mm,
from the same money, bread for the family was bought. Yet it was the
exactly.
same money that was allocated to buy bread
Oh,
for the cafe.
yeah.
You know? So yeah, it was tricky. Anyway,
Yeah,
please
it is, and it
continue.
ends up being very messy. That is why it is recommended that rather pay yourself a salary from the business bank account and then use that salary to cover your personal things. Because now it's time for recording, now it's time for reconciliation, now it's time for the bookkeeper to do the books. Now you must look for that. And remember, the worst thing about receipts is that they fade away. receipts fade away. It means you need to make copies and copies and copies and copies of receipts to make sure that at least you've got the record. So it's very important for the business to keep record and to separate the two. And another dangerous thing with not separating is that should it happen that the business does not make it and you are the business, the assets are, everything is on your name, and the business does not make it and you need to liquidate and stuff has to be sold and you become bankrupt, then it means you lose everything. I know when people start businesses, they would maybe use their house as security, their car as security for a loan that they take out to actually start a business. It's possible, but you actually are taking a huge risk because if the business does not work out, then you can't pay the loan when the house is sold, so the loan can be paid. So there, hence the concept of separating the two. A business, when you register a business or a company with the CIPC, it immediately kicks in with SARS and you automatically get a tax number. And that means your business becomes a separate entity from you. Basically, whatever happens with you is yours, and whatever happens with the business belongs to the business. So that is how important a separation is between the two. It guarantees that it actually tells you automatically that you're now going to be paying tax twice for yourself and also for the business. But for as long as the business is generating income, then the tax payments can come from that. So separation is extremely, extremely important. So we must never combine the two. I know in the start it can be quite difficult, especially because business bank accounts can be expensive to open up and to maintain if your business is still small. But rather look for cheaper options. Some banks have got cheaper options where you can have a business bank account and then run your, basically the charges aren't as high, and then rather look for cheaper options instead of choosing to have your personal stuff and your business stuff in one bank account. Okay, I don't know if you've got any more questions
That's
for
so
me.
good. That's so good. You've said that so well. I think there's also another point that Ubambata made. In fact, maybe let me just read from these questions that I generated here.
Okay.
Ubambata, one of the books that he highlighted there was Robert Kiyosaki. Am I
Yes,
pronouncing
yes.
it? And
I
he speaks
also don't
about
know how to.
growing assets while reducing liabilities. And how
Yes.
can we then understand how debt management and liabilities work? How do we reduce those liabilities when we are running businesses?
Mm,
And I think sometimes we don't, we want to make progress in whatever we want to do as a business, whether
yes.
we are promoting
Mm,
a product, whether we are, promoting our services. But I mean, as a person who has started the business, you already are passionate about whatever you want to do. But in terms of
yes.
really looking at your entity as a business and building it, focusing
Mm,
on building assets and reducing
yes.
those liabilities. Sometimes we tend to forget it's actually easier to just keep selling this product. If I have um,
Exactly.
there's a good friend who has natural products. It's called
Yes.
Milani products, and I've been testing them for the last this is my second month, and they're good. But in terms
Yeah.
of literally building the business, not just promoting the brand,
The
not just
brand.
making those sales, but building the business in and making it sustainable. I think that question is around
Yeah.
sustainability. What
Mm.
do you have any thoughts around that?
Um, I think the first step, ne, would always be to
Can I just
um
add even there? Um, uh, can I just add? It's not
okay,
related to
cool.
finance, but I'm just between you and me because we are also the asset of the business. I'm doing
Yes.
coaching. I'm the asset of the business. If
Yes.
I get sick, then there's no coaching happening. If I get
Happening. Yeah.
so reducing that liability, perhaps it's looking after my health and making sure that I'm healthy and I'm available
Mm.
for those coaching sessions.
Yes.
So I'm just throwing it out there. Um, So if you can just
Yes.
speak into that. Yeah.
So I think the first step for me, it's hence I'm advocating for financial literacy. It's to get knowledge about debt. Very much important. And by knowledge, I mean, I think as I mentioned earlier, the type of product that I'm going to need for where I am. Number two is assessing where I come from. How has the business been doing? And I think by identifying that, by looking at growth, how high which seasons, in what way, what was I doing during those times that caused me to gain so much in terms of profit. That will determine also the type of credit that maybe I can apply for. Also including my credit worthiness, even as a a, a business. So understanding debt speaks to yes, one, knowing the types of credits to apply for, and also understanding that I don't have to take it as it comes, right? So if they say we're giving it to you 50,000 at 20%, you still have a right to negotiate and say, but no, with my credit worthiness as a business, and I think I can negotiate for this, for that, for that. And that can also help and affect the amount of credit that you get, how much you pay back on it, and also can reduce the amount of liability that you take onto the business. Because the more I can get for less, the more I save, right? So understanding what it takes to negotiate what you are worth as well as a business, and if you can also project it onto your financial statements, that will definitely take you a long way in reducing risk. Like you just made an example now, the more you take care of yourself, the less sick you will be, and then the less financially or negatively affected you will be financially. So it is the same thing. It is looking ahead as what could be the risk. Yes, I want the loan now. I think it would help me to get the equipment that I want, to buy the material that I need. And I think when I'm looking at my projections around this season, a lot of dresses are being bought. So if I can pay them now, then they'll be bought. But what are the implications in the future? What are the risks that I am taking on that could be avoided? So it's weighing the pros and cons, and it always starts with getting the knowledge about the type of debt that I need, and also knowing why. So that is one of the things that I stress, especially with people that want to save money. I want to save, but I can't. What's the problem? If you save and you don't have a reason why, you will always go back and spend the money. The why sort of forms the discipline. It assists you with disciplining yourself. Why do I want to save? I've got my two kids. My daughter is 14, first year in high school, and my son is 8. He's doing grade 2. I've taught them to save. They've got their own money boxes and they put money in there. And I asked them, okay, you want to save, so what are you saving for? Mama, I want to buy a bicycle. Mama, I want to. And I said to them, to incentivize them, whatever amount of money that you have saved by the end of the year, I will double that. I'll put on more on that. So I'm helping them not to want to destroy the money box and want to take out the money anyway. Why? They want a bicycle. My daughter wants a nice hairstyle at the end of the year. So I taught her, if you want a hairstyle that costs 400 rand, I want the other half. So she must start saving for it. So the why is your incentive. It provides the discipline that you need in order to keep on keeping on onto the journey, because it's not easy. So a business also needs that. Why? Why do I want to grow? What are the things that I can see in my business that are saying you are ready for growth? Right? So yes.
I like that. I'm just even thinking now, just reflecting on my own journey. Um, it's easier for me to just rock up and just continue with what I'm doing and not necessarily check how much I'm spending, because it comes
Yes.
naturally, my time, my
Naturally.
resources,
Mm,
and not worry about how that affects my business growth. I'm
mm,
thinking, if I get sick, what then happens? Perhaps I need to look at
mm.
recording courses and have them ready so that even when I'm not
Ready.
available, the business
True.
as it is, it's still
The
generating
runs.
income. I'm maximizing
Yes.
the resources, the assets that I already have. You know,
That you
and
already have.
it has to be something that I think about every day. How can I maximize? How can I reduce the liabilities?
Mm,
How can I maximize the assets? You know, and not just
mm.
enjoy the day to day.
True,
You know,
true. Because we
move with
can
the
get lost.
movers kind of a thing. So
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, yeah,
So it sort of allows for some introspection to say, Ish, you know what? I am here now, but what happens when I'm not? Which is something I was challenged to once to say, okay, fine, you've got a business, it's going on, money is coming in, but can the business run when you're not there?
yeah,
So I'm the business, you're the business. So
yeah,
will the business run if you're not there? So
yeah,
you know you are progressing if the business can continue to happen even when you are not present. So
yeah.
those are the kind of things that an entrepreneur needs to be aware of, and financial literacy plays a role in making sure that resources are allocated properly so that even when I'm not present, the business can still continue.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
While you were speaking, I can't remember what you were saying, but I remembered how using, I think you were talking about the systems that help you see if you're making financial progress as a business,
Yes. Mm.
where you can get them through the bank or you can buy a system, an accounting system
Yes.
that tells you. I remember what helped me with the cafe, which now I'm thinking, perhaps I can still use it as in the coaching
Mm.
and move away from invoicing. I hate invoicing. Perhaps I can still use my Yoko account. Yoko was
Okay.
it came at the right time because I could upload my stock. I could upload all my sales items and it will actually generate all the
Mm.
sales reports you know, and I would actually see if my stock is running out and if I did make profit or not. And I just understanding that without having to sit for hours and hours. You can literally every
Mm.
day, every week, see if you are making financial progress. And it
Progress or
doesn't
not.
have to be something that cracks your head. You don't have to sit with the
No.
bookkeeper, all the time, but just understanding
Mm.
what did I put in? What am I getting out? Is
Yes.
it what I was anticipating? If it wasn't, you already able to see and make adequate adjustment. If you have to cut the cost already,
Adjustments.
your financials are telling you you need to cut the
Yes.
cost. You need to cut some of the things to actually make your projections. So thank you so much for this. I appreciate you. Can I ask you something though? Do you offer personalized coaching
Yes.
or you do groups of young people? What, how do you work?
I offer personalized. I offer personalized.
Okay. Because I'm thinking we're learning
So
all
I
of this.
do I do groups. Yeah.
Because I'm thinking we're learning all of this, and I want to go home and apply everything. And I'm thinking, hey,
Yeah.
if someone else out there understands better what I'm
Mm.
grappling with, who can I phone before I make mistakes that my whether it's a bookkeeper or my financial
Yeah.
advisor or whoever is looking at my
Yeah.
books would actually just perhaps charge me more. Maybe a coach who would just look at
Mm.
what I'm doing on a day-to-day basis and see. So thank you so much for
True.
that. Yeah. I don't
Yeah.
know. Do you have
Thank
anything
you,
you want to
Madam.
add from this reflection? Oh, Bambata gave us a whole lot of things to think about.
Yeah, no, he did. He spoke about a whole lot of things. And I think maybe we should have him on again to explain even further. But we learned a lot. And what I loved about him, he's such an ordinary man. Hey, like
Thank
ordinary,
you.
ordinary. You would not even think. And after I listened to him, I was sitting and reflecting on man, and I thought, we expect people who are millionaires to be walking around with a gold chain and a ring and a what. And to be honest, I've never heard of Ubabumbata, you know.
Yeah,
So even the statistics that we hear of only 1% of the population is a millionaire, they might not be true because there are people out there who are millionaires, but they're just not shouting it out there in the
yeah,
world and telling people. But they would rather put their energy towards helping others, growing others that are coming behind them so that the legacy continues and not just on their families, but around our communities as well. So I found that so outstanding with him that he was an ordinary man who I've never heard of. And I'm not necessarily criticizing that, but I'm actually giving a compliment to say, I don't know you, and yet you've got so
yeah.
much knowledge, meaning you're not about enlarging yourself and
Fame.
making yourself larger than God or fame, but you're about wealth creation and not just for yourself, but also for your community and where you come from, which is very much important and impressive as well.
Yeah.
So yeah.
His journey is so impressive. Just a graduate who couldn't find work, worked at a petrol
Mm,
station and thought, I can actually do this thing as a business. And he started teaching himself,
do this.
do this. Now, I don't
Okay.
know how many petrol
Mm,
stations he owns in KZN and Gauteng,
yes.
and has helped many others to start the business.
Mm,
Um, and it's
no, that's
amazing
good.
how, like you're saying, he's so open to sharing his story. I know most
Mm,
of that comes through in from his book, The Petrol Attendant.
mm,
But just how he has simplified, demystified this thing of entrepreneurship. When you
true.
sit with him, you really think, I can do this thing, you know, because
He
it's
makes you
tangible.
believe.
Yes, it's tangible with him. He gives you practical
It's within
things
reach.
to work with. Yeah, yeah. I
That's
just
good.
the other thing that I found interesting with him as well is how open he is to meet with people at his
Mm,
with his experience
level. Mm,
and level
yeah,
I mean, it's hard to just come and say,
to come
hey,
by.
you can trouble me, you can learn from me, how can I help you?
Mm, yeah.
And I mean, you meet him when you go there for the readiness training. You literally meet him. You
Meet
not just
him.
meet, someone who's been hired to run the program. You meet him,
Mm,
so you literally learn from him. And then
from
whoever
him
takes after
directly.
that, you know that you've already, learned a lot. So anyway,
Met,
now I feel
yeah.
like I'm marketing Mr. Mbata, but it's because I'm learning a lot from him. So
A lot from him.
and I'm glad he made time to meet with us. And I'm glad you are sharing your expertise as well. It's just
I'm
expanding
glad.
some of the things that he shared with us. So thank you so much, Mata.
Thank you.
I'm hoping this would be, just a first of many conversations with you.
Thank you
And I'm hoping that we can learn from each other, we can source strength from each other,
from
uh,
each other.
as coaches, as teachers.
Yes.
Yeah. So thank you so much.
So thank you. Thank you so much. I also really appreciate the opportunity. When you sent me the invite, I was like, and then I asked for the questions. I bravely asked for the questions. I was like, and I saw them. I'm like, yo, but you know what? No, I'm gonna jump in. Sometimes you feel like running, ne? And you're like, no, I can't run. The whole day today, I was thinking, okay, tell her to postpone. No, do it. Not so I thought, you know what, do it, get it over and done with.
Yeah.
And I'm glad I did. I'm glad. And
Yeah.
I'm hoping for
I
more of these.
I love it when people engage with the content we move out. So I couldn't have missed the opportunity to invite you because I really wanted to hear what was on your heart and just some of the
Yes.
things that you took away from the session.
Yeah.
So thank you
No,
so
I
much
I
for
did.
giving me
I
that
did.
that
Thank you
that
so
privilege.
much. No, I'm really hoping for the next.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Thank you
we've
so
got
much.
this week, we've got Karen, who helped us
Karen, yes, I
understand
saw
the
that.
who helped us understand. I think we were doing competence in character series, and she came and she spoke about AI. In fact,
Okay.
it was Introduction to Esports and AI. And she dropped so many bombs that we said we have to have her again. And we were
Again.
strategic to say, let's call her when we have to speak about making profits because we need to
True.
leverage on AI. We want to develop
Mm,
concepts that
mm,
actually make money.
mm,
And I know
mm,
people have already been making money out of it.
mm.
And so
A
uh,
lot. Mm.
we're not late, we're just on time. So we want to ride. So
No, we are on time. We
we're
are on
on
time.
time.
Definitely.
So thank you so much. I'm not gonna stop this recording.